That's connected. All right, great. Well, welcome, Jason, to Jimmy Thomas TV. As you see there, I put the lovely
Thank you.
link to Wet Travel. But for the listeners out there and the viewers that will see this later, uh, kind of give a little bit of background about Wet Travel, and because it's been around for a while and we've done 30 sailings. And so before we get into the nitty gritty of how we met on the group cruise, let's talk about Wet Travel as a whole. So,
Okay,
welcome.
so I started it 16 years ago, getting a group of friends together to go on a cruise. And wet means to excite or to stimulate in the dictionary. And basically, I was always bored going on cruises because they're all families and old people, and the music and the nightlife wasn't exciting to me by any stretch of the imagination. So I just dream and vision of what it would be like to have a whole cruise ship, good friends, good people, and really good music. And so I put a business plan together to charter a cruise ship in 5 years. What that means is basically renting the entire cruise ship. As industry, I didn't have any money. I didn't have any resources. I just put a business plan together, and I was going to double it every year. So the first one was 125 people. The next one was 250. The next one was 1,000, and the next one was 2,000. So that was my goal, that if I did a good job and exceeded expectations, that it would double, and so one person would bring another person, and that kind of thing. So long story short, it didn't happen exactly like that, and organically grew it eventually to a full ship charter in 7 years. And what a full ship charter means is renting a cruise ship for Caribbean, Carnival, Celebrity, Norwegian, Princess, and so forth. And they're 2,000 to 4,000 person experiences for 3 to 7 days. And then we transform the ship into a once-in-a-lifetime experience, such as Groove Cruise, which is electronic dance music, which was where I met you, Brooke. And we've also done salsa cruises, rock cruises, heavy metal cruises, Zen cruise. I've been involved in country and some other ones as well. So it's been an interesting ride. I've been involved in over 40, I think 43 or 44 music cruises to date in the last 6 years. And it's been an interesting ride, and here we are in coronavirus times where the whole industry shut down. So it's been a roller coaster.
Right. Well, before we get into bring the mood down for a second, have you seen in your journey the demand for like music charter cruises increased? Because I was into cruising, but then I've been on a couple of charter cruises now, and I don't think I could do a regular cruise. So have you seen, because of festivals and just what has been created, it become more popular over the years?
Yeah, definitely. It started, I don't know, 20, 25 years ago with some jazz cruises or something like that. And it's absolutely boomed. And before my business, I used to be a tour manager taking groups of people on motor coach tours. And I used to read evaluations about what makes or breaks your vacation. And I came to the conclusion after reading, I don't even know, probably 1,000 evaluations, that what makes or breaks your vacation has nothing to do with where you go. It's all about who you're with. And that was the premise of Wet Travel, and our whole basis of what we do is bring together like-minded communities. That happens where you've got all people that are interested in electronic dance music, or all people that are interested in salsa music, or all people that are interested in rock music. And that's where the magic community of people, the camaraderie, the like-mindedness, the love of and passion of that particular style of music, or that the other lifestyles too. We have a board game cruise coming up, and some other non-music oriented cruises. So whatever community of people, when you're on a cruise ship, it's just so much better than any festival, conference, concert, just because you have an artist-fan interaction. So you're so close to the artists. You'll see them in the buffet, in the every times.
Right.
And that's kind of one of the things that makes it unique. But there's a bunch of reasons why cruise, but that's definitely way value as well.
And I guess I know we're in a really unique time now, and but what has surprised you about the experiences you've had on the many different cruises you've done?
What has surprised me? Well, there's always surprises. That's kind of the fun of being in the travel industry. You never know what to expect. You never know what the weather's going to be like. You never know. There's just gut stuff. We're dealing with hundreds and sometimes hundreds of thousands of moving parts, and there's just so many things that can happen, that can go wrong, with missing ports, with there's just all different kinds of stuff. But what's surprised me, I guess, is just the love of community and the love of just groups of people that are like-minded and just love to have fun and love to vacation together. And yeah, it just creates really an experience that's unlike anywhere in the world. And at a normal festival, you've got long logistical lines getting in and out, or food isn't very great, or half hour back to walk or drive back to where you're staying and then coming back again, where on the cruise ship it's a 3-minute walk back to your room, it's a 2-minute walk to get food at any hour of the day, and it just takes all of the logistical challenges out of the normal festival world. And that's kind of what's been surprising me the most, is just I guess the love and camaraderie of people that happens on board the ship.
And yeah, that's the biggest thing that, like, I had been trying before this year to join the group cruise for many years, but my job always got in the way. And finally, I made it happen.
Awesome.
So what I was telling people this year, and while I'm trying to get the word out to people that are trying to wait out and see what they're going to do for next year, and why it's different, is literally the camaraderie that I felt with fellow like-minded music lovers like myself. And it's different because I've been to other festivals. I've been to EDC. I've been to many other options, but it's not like the group cruise. I don't know why. Like, I don't know why group cruise just has the number one right now in my book. Because is it because we're all on the ship and because we're there, we know why we're there, and it's not any other factors that you've experienced?
Yeah, and I think there's a lot to that. It's a safe, judge-free zone. I mean, there's cameras everywhere on board the ship. Health is a big focus, obviously, going forward right now. It always has been on cruises. Health on cruise ships has always been, to me, way safer than any airplane or hotel or anywhere resort that I've been to. I mean, they're always wiping down everything everywhere and making sure that they're taking extra precautions. Everybody's background checked by U.S. Customs and Immigration. I mean, that doesn't happen at any festival anywhere. And if you have a warrant out for your arrest or different things like that, you won't be allowed on board the ship. So it's very safe, and I think that just kind of makes people feel comfortable to be who they are, wear what they want. The costumes, I think, are really unique because you're so close to your room. We have a day theme and a night theme, and people really get into that, and they plan these costumes for months, and it's just a lot of fun. And a lot of times when you're in your hometown, you're kind of in your clique, your group of people, or maybe some of the festivals that you go to, you go with 5, 10, 20 people, and you kind of stay within that group the whole time. Where on a cruise, I feel like your guard is kind of down. It's super fun and super safe. You're meeting lots more people, and you see those people all over and over, because it's a smaller capacity, whether that's 2,000 or 3,000, or what would have been this past weekend 4,000 out of LA, but it got canceled. Our biggest one yet. You see the same people over and over again. Where at festival, when you've got at EDC, you've got 100,000, 200,000, or 400,000, whatever the numbers are, which is crazy. You're not going to see the same people over and over again generally. So when you see the same people in the morning, and then the afternoon, and then the evening, and then you see them again, and you just really start to build that rapport. And I think that's one of the several reasons why there's just such a different love. And we have a very high repeat factor too. So 70-80% of the people that go on group cruise have been before. And I think that's something that also makes it unique. And the community kind of looks out for each other and looks out to make sure, hey, somebody's looks down. They're not having a bad time right now, and they go over there and just kind of take care of each other and make sure everybody's having the time of their life, and everybody's having a good time. And I think that's part of what's been built over the last 16 years with group cruises, the community.
Right. And I think another unique thing that I really enjoyed being a part of this year was the excursion for Whet Foundation. Can you talk a little bit about establishing that and why that's become such an integral part of the group cruise and maybe other sailings?
Absolutely. So I've always had a charitable component since I started the company 16 years ago, and I've always given money to different charities and foundations. And after many years, I kind of got the feeling that the money that I was giving wasn't going to the end user, which was the kids and other organizations we were benefiting. So decided to start up my own organization where we actually know where every single dollar goes to. We work with orphanages and schools or Salvation Army in the destinations that we go to. So whether that's Mexico, Jamaica, Bahamas, so forth like that. And we ask them what they need. So they need a new roof, they need a new appliances, they need a new desk. They had their air conditioner stolen, which just happened to the school that we worked with earlier this year. They need new paint. They need, food for the kids. They need school supplies. They need clothing. So we work with all of the people that come on board Groove Cruise to bring those items that they need, whether that's school supplies or clothing. Maybe, they have kids and they have extra things like that. Sometimes they purchase it. And then we bring that on the ship, and then we have volunteers that pack up bags, and then we deliver them to the orphanage or the school generally. And then we put together an experience there as well. So whether that is painting, we've done at the school where we painted a whole mural on the wall. We've done a few other things at the school. So I'm trying to think of dance parties, just feeding the kids, giving them gifts, and just really sharing with them the fun of dance music and the aliveness of it. And the community really gets behind it. And it's a lot of fun, but hopefully we're leaving more of a, Whet Foundation is the name of the organization, .org, and it's a 501c3. So it's a public organization. So it's all transparent in terms of where the money goes and so forth. And every dollar that's donated, we, 100% of it goes to the kids or the facilities that we're working with. So we don't generally give any money to organizations. We actually buy them things. So if they need a new refrigerator, we buy them a refrigerator. If they need a new playground, we buy them a playground, and so forth like that. So yeah, it's been awesome. We had our biggest volunteer group on this past one. I think we had 60 in Costa Maya, and it's always challenging in these destinations, and sometimes the communication barrier can be challenging too, and doing business in some of these third world countries can be challenging, but it was a great experience for those people that went, for sure. And that was added, Brooke.
Yeah, we cleaned up the school, the trash. We talked to some of the kids. It was really great. Yeah. So along those lines, during this year, because of things shifting, you have partnered with Twitch to do Cabin Fever, which has been helping people in need through Whet Foundation. Can you talk about that?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. So earlier in the beginning of all this, in March, I basically watched our business die and we go, we were the first industry to get shut down. We're still the last industry that's probably going to start back up again, hopefully in November. Hopefully next month per the CDC, or December. And so, I was depressed in the beginning, and watching kind of this baby that I built over the last few years kind of wither and not do very well. And I just tried to think about, I'm struggling, but there's people that are struggling a lot worse than I am. And I had this epiphany of, I have this foundation, and we started doing these live streams, and then we decided to create a COVID-19 relief funds, and we've raised over right around $50,000 to date, and We've paid out over 250 grants. And the cool thing about that is there are people generally within our community or someone's family member within our community and something like that. So it was really cool to be able to give back to our own community. Not necessarily there's anything wrong with other charitable organizations, but just to know exactly where every single dollar is going to. It's not going to overhead, and some of these other organizations where they're raising money, but it may stay within the dance music community and benefit our fans, our artists, our people that are actually struggling in the hospitality industry and so forth. So it's been a blessing to be able to be in that position to become a partner with Twitch and kind of pivot the word of the day from doing sailings at sea to doing virtual sailaways online. And then now the Cabin Fever, which we started, which is a more consistent thing on Twitch. And Amazon Music has got behind us too. So it's been awesome. It's been an interesting ride for sure. It wasn't our specialty, but it's been fun seeing everybody gather together online from all around the world, really.
Yeah, I've had a blast popping in when I could all year.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
So I know you recently had a Facebook Live to kind of update the community about what's happening with the upcoming cruise. And I know we're waiting to kind of hear with the CDC, like you just had. But overall, what I noticed, because I want to like help friends kind of take the plunge to go, and I as an affiliate. So where, like, I don't know, I don't want to say like I know there's more to it than meets the eye, but I noticed that there's just been a positivity with people understanding what's going on and looking forward to whatever can make the group cruise happen in 2021 or whenever. So are you seeing an overall like community positivity towards whatever can be done?
Yeah, so I think there's been a lot of negativity in the beginning from March on about the cruise industry and so forth. This is the first period in time where I've been seeing finally some positive information and some moves from the CDC, the White House, and the cruise lines finally collectively getting together to make a proposal based on what's been happening in Europe, because the ships have been sailing in Europe for a month or two now. I think some of the bigger ships and have been pretty successful. So utilizing everything and all the data that they have now, and how can we get back to sailing safely. And so there was a 74-point document called the Healthy Sail Panel, put together by Royal Caribbean, which owns Celebrity, which is who we're supposed to be sailing with in January, and Norwegian Cruise Line. And that was adopted by CLIA, the Cruise Line International Association, which pretty much represents all the cruise lines, the main cruise lines around the world. And there's different points to that, such as COVID testing every person before they get on board the ship, temperature scans throughout the ship and as you're getting on board, testing staff repeatedly, and there was a whole tracking, and there was a whole bunch of things, like if someone gets on the ship that does get diagnosed with COVID, how do you quarantine them off? How do you keep it so it doesn't have an outbreak on board the ship? And the cruise lines have been dealing with coronaviruses for many years, such as the norovirus is one in particular, which is like a pretty contagious stomach flu, and it happens on ships, it happens in schools, it happens in malls, it happens in hospitals. However, the only venue on the planet, well, at least for the United States, that has to report those outbreaks is cruise ships. So you may never know if a school has a coronavirus outbreak, even though you're sending your kids there. You may never know that a hospital has an outbreak, even though you have family members there. You may never know that a mall has an outbreak, even though you're shopping there, because they don't have to report it to the CDC and it's not public information. Where cruise ships do, they have to report it, and it's public information when there's a certain percentage of people that have a norovirus, or assuming coronavirus, the COVID, when it comes out. So they have protocols in place to quarantine people and so forth like that if they're showing symptoms, and testing on board the ship. So I'm very confident that the cruise lines will have a great plan in place that's going to make it as safe as possible to sail. Hopefully next month, the CDC no sail order ends October 31st. So hopefully we'll have an update on that very soon. And then the cruise lines are supposed to start sailing in November or December as of right now, but that's been pushed back. So that takes us to group cruise in January, which is supposed to sail the 7th through the 11th. But we're kind of on notice if that is not able to happen, or if the restrictions are too stringent where it doesn't make sense, we may move it to April, or it could be January 2022. So that's kind of what we're waiting to hear back, is exactly what's going on, because there's been a lot of uncertainty in the world, but also especially in particular in the cruise industry, in terms of exactly what's going to happen and what it's going to look like.
Right. And I mean, obviously I've been trying to tell people that if you're going to do something, I feel more comfortable actually going on a cruise than going to Vegas right now.
Oh,
Actually, to be honest.
100%. Because everybody you're walking around in Vegas could, you notice, and they're not going to be tested. Everybody on the ship's going to be tested. And, they're going to be temperature scans, and there's going to be these things, and there's going to be sanitation all over. I mean, that's just not feasible to happen in these giant resorts in Vegas, or airplanes, for crying out loud. I just flew last week for my niece's birthday in LA. There wasn't one empty seat on the entire plane, both directions. It was crazy. It took 4 flights. There wasn't one seat open on any of the flights, and people sitting right up next to me on both sides. Everybody's got masks on, but still, and they talk about the filters on the ships or something. The cruise ships are also coming out with those filters. MSC just announced that yesterday, or something similar. I don't know exactly. Didn't catch all that, but yeah, it's kind of odd that there's certain types of travel that's open right now and not cruises, but that's is what it is.
Right. So can you like what makes the Groove Cruise so unique is what we kind of touched on, and I kind of want to go over this because I spoke about it when I did my recap earlier in the year on the podcast about the artist experiences. Like we talked a little bit about how you can run into your favorite DJ or artist on board, but talk about how the fact that like there's activities and it's so unique. I never thought like I would be playing basketball with Marcus Schultz and a bunch of people. So like, it would talk about like how that's evolved on the Groove Cruise and how it's made it unique to other experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. So because we have a smaller group and there's so much things to do on a ship. I mean, a cruise ship is not just about like, partying and eating. I mean, there's so much more to a cruise experience. There's so much activities and venues on board the ship. So we try to engage the artists and make sure that they have to do one activity. When we book them, we give them a whole list of activities that they can choose from a dumpling making class that Q Ryan did, to a wine tasting that Fatum did, to meet and greet that Above and Beyond did. I think Cascade did a meet and greet too. So so they all do some type of thing, whether that's basketball with Marcus Schultz that you mentioned, made at a soccer tournament with Dash Berlin, and some of the artists take part in the Whet Foundation experience. So that's something that is very important to us, because most artists, when they play a gig, they get into the gig, 20 minutes before their set, they play their set, they leave, and they're kind of in and out. Maybe they have a quick meet and greet or something, but that's what an artist does at a festival. Generally, that's what they do at a club gig or other gig that they have. They come in, they perform, and they leave. Where with Groove Cruise, they can't leave. So, we make sure to keep them busy and keep them occupied. And then from the guest experience, which we call the captains, everybody's the captain and the most important person, and they steer the ship. And that's something very core to us is service. And, we want to make sure that the captains have a memorable experience. And sometimes the most memorable experience is not the music. Maybe it is, playing basketball with an artist, or maybe it is running into an artist in the elevator or in the hallway that they were near them in their room, and an impromptu conversation about music or about producing. Or Kashmir did a whole Q&A for an hour that was really, really powerful. Some people had some great questions and really strong takeaways, which just doesn't happen at a regular event or a regular gig. So that's something that's very unique about Groove Cruise, and we're all about moments that people remember forever, and relationships and moments, and that's what we work very hard to create.
And well, I know I've been on the Groove Cruise, but I know you have other sailings. You mentioned like the Salsa Cruise and stuff. Do you take that same kind of experiences on those sailings as well? And have you seen the kind of the same camaraderie and fun on those as well?
Oh, absolutely. So they're different. So the experiences might be different. So on Salsa Cruise, it may be like a dominoes tournament, or what else have we done? History of salsa class, Zumba class, things like that are just more aligned with that community of people. And then the rock cruises, we've done like what was the I think we did metal yoga.
That's awesome.
on the metal cruise. We had Motorhead, Slayer, Anthrax, and that was awesome. And I think we did metal yoga, if I remember right. So yeah, I think there was a Q&A with the artists, the meet and greet. Everybody got a photo with Lemmy and Motorhead and the other bands, and that was really special. And yeah, there was a few other little things that we did throughout the cruise. But yeah, I think that's something that makes it different and fun, and to be able to connect with the artists on a deeper level is really special. They're kind of like the cruise festivals are kind of like the super fans of the music industry that just more, they want to be more engaged, they want more from the artist, and that's kind of what we look to deliver, no matter what community of fans it is.
Awesome. So I know this past year, well, in 2019, you did Groove Island. Can you talk a bit about the differences? And I know there's been excitement to maybe bring that back in the future because everybody had a blast.
Yeah, so I've done a few. We've stopped on Groove Cruise to Catalina, I'd say probably maybe 3 or 4 times before last year, and I've always had this dream and vision to really do an experience on Catalina. Because it's absolutely gorgeous. It's within an hour of Los Angeles. It's in Los Angeles County. It's like a national park. It's really stunning, beautiful, very cool people that live there, and it was awesome. I mean, we created a 3-day immersive experience on Catalina, and people got to experience zip lining and trips to the interior, and we did a beach cleanup where we found a boat in the ocean and they pulled that out, and I don't know, there was all different kinds of interesting stuff that went on throughout that experience. We did an event in the Casino Ballroom, which is the largest ballroom in the world. There's tons of history on Catalina. It's owned by the Wrigley family, the majority of it, and just to partake in that and just show off the islands, show off the island locals are a blast that all live there, and the beauty of the island and the fishing and the snorkeling and just all the things that you can do there. Some people brought their boats from Orange County or from LA. Some people took helicopters over. It was very complex, probably the most complex thing that we've done. But just because there were so many unknowns and no one had ever done anything to the level that we did. I mean, for the most part, we rented just about all the hotels on the islands, Airbnbs, the campground, beach club, casino, ferries, yachts, helicopters, and it was just complicated logistically, and working with the local politicians and working with the mayor and the city council and the police and the fire and medical, and like all of these things had to be thought through, and it was interesting navigating all those things, but we got through it, and it was a successful event, and people definitely had the time of their lives for sure.
And because it was not on a ship and it was back online, did you see any differences, or was it still just because it was like the same people, same like-minded people having a blast? It didn't matter where it was.
Yeah, so I think the vibe was pretty similar. It was a little different just because it's more spread out. So you might have to walk 15 minutes to get from your Airbnb or your hotel, 15-20 minutes from your Airbnb to the beach club or to the casino where the events were. So that was really the main difference, was like you're not 3 minutes away, and if you lose your friends, they might be in a certain area, and cell phones didn't work real great throughout the island, so it wasn't as easy to track down people if you lost your group. But yeah, it was a similar vibe. I mean, everyone was very positive there for the music and the love and all of that, but it also brought out a lot of new people that haven't been on group cruise before, a lot, and that was exciting for sure.
Right. I think too, because for the people that are apprehensive about cruises even before COVID-19, about am I going to get seasick? Is it going to be as fun as everybody says? I think the minute you step foot on the ship, you're immediately taken care of by people. Like I went by myself because a lot of my people from back home canceled last minute. So
okay.
So I ended up meeting a ton of people, and it was one of the most welcoming events I've ever been at. So for those that like are on the fence out there listening or watching, I really recommend it because, like we talked about earlier, it's very inclusive and a safe space. So whether it's on a ship or at Catalina, I recommend it. So I know
Thank you.
we're kind of waiting to hear back from the government and everything that's going on. But you mentioned some other sailings that are a little bit different. Um, what are you what are you seeing for different like types of communities wanting this type of experience going forward? Because I think it's cool that you're expanding to different activities and different communities.
Yeah, definitely. So Salsa Cruise is next October. So if anybody's into salsa music, there's another cruise that we're involved in called Dice Tower Cruise, which are just board gamers. That one's in February, I think, right now. And yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that we're either indirectly involved in or directly involved in. And then there's some other full ship ideas and things like that that we're working on. So yeah, it's challenging, but it's also exciting. I'm starting to see the tides turning a little bit. I think people are starting to go stir crazy after 7-8 months. And I think as soon as things are good to go, whether that people start feeling safer, a vaccine comes out, which hopefully we'll hear from the vaccine, which are in third trials. I think there's several of them, a bunch of them actually, that are in third phase of trials where that's where they're testing tens of thousands of people. So I think that information will come out very, very soon, probably before the election. We have an election coming up, so there's also uncertainty there.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of where it's been in the last couple of weeks leading up.
Well, awesome. But before we hop off, I mean, I put the link here for people that'll watch this when this goes back out. But where can people find you on social media and get connected?
So I'm Travel Jason on Instagram and Facebook as well, and Twitter, which I don't use a whole lot, and then also LinkedIn. So Travel Jason on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jason, for joining me on this episode. And
thank you so much, Brooke, and thank you for coming on the cruise by yourself. I know it's always a little bit hairy when you travel by yourself, but I like traveling by myself personally because it gets me out of my comfort zone and meeting new people. And I'm just grateful that you came and that you had a good time, even though your friends didn't. And thanks for all the support, and really appreciate you having me on.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.